Hi there. Okay, so now you're probably in the module. I can see where you want to learn a little bit about how the lead generation indicator or your report works. So this tool, by now you've printed the report, I hope, or perhaps you've seen it come through your emails and you've got it there and you've been able to see what your score is and where you score highest across the 4 quadrants. So the direct contact, network and search, the awareness and the educate. Now, my advice to you is, you might have heard me talk about it a bit earlier in one of the earlier videos, is that the best thing to do is to take your report and obviously read it. And then the second thing is to identify which part has the greatest gaps or opportunities for you. Now, maybe that's all of them. And if they're all scoring equally, then that's okay. My advice to you is that direct contact quadrant, that top right hand corner, is the most important quadrant out of the whole report. So before you start working on any other quadrants, you really want to identify, what am I doing in that quadrant? Have I done absolutely everything I possibly can in there before I start working on the other quadrants? Now, what I would say is that if you haven't got anything happening in the direct contacts, like maybe you've just started your practice and you're still trying to get lists, you haven't been able to send a newsletter because you haven't got anybody, and I would challenge that anyway, then in that case you need to go over to the awareness quadrant, and that will be your priority. So you actually kind of dance between the awareness and the direct contact quadrant the whole time, regardless of whether you're starting out or you've had your practice the whole time. Is you are always in list building mode. What I would say is that the bottom right hand quadrant, which is the network and search, the search engine optimization and your website build and AdWords and all that sort of stuff, that's actually one of the last activities we would typically worry about. LinkedIn, you want to make sure your profile is reflecting your positioning and what you're trying to do. But in terms of really aggressive search engine optimization and things like that, my advice is that's something you'd probably worry about when you've got around a $600,000 practice. That's the type of revenue you've got coming in. My advice to you is focus on those other 3 quadrants. So the direct contact, the educate and the awareness. And they're your biggest priorities. And if you can do that, then you're going to make your sales calls really easy. You're going to make it much easier for yourself to reach out and offer to help people and to be able to help them become their best, because you've got those offers there. So because you've kept visible, you've been doing your newsletter, you've been putting your content on social media, and you've been continually reaching out and adding people to your database. So prioritize those other 3 quadrants. Network and search is actually the last one. I wish I knew that when I started my practice, because that was where I lost all my money. And the beauty of it is that all those other activities actually don't really cost you money, if anything. The one thing I would say with the bottom right hand quadrant, which is the network and search, is the only thing you would worry about is if you are getting referrals, is to make sure you have a thank you strategy in place. Send people, whether it's wine, movie tickets, flowers, whatever it is make sure you're always acknowledging those referrals, because you'll get more of those. But in terms of SEO, AdWords, worry about that later. However, if you have a practice that is turning over $600,000 plus, then what you do need to do is, again, check that you're doing all those other things. And if you have, now is time to focus on that quadrant. So I hope that helps, and I can't wait to hear how you go.